Here, hurry up, will yous? Did you bring the spray cans, Carl?
Yeah, here.
Did you bring the beer?
Here, give us a leg up, Billy.
Ow. Watch it.
My dad thinks I'm at my Irish grind.
My dad cannot care less where I am.
Well, why not take some at football practice? Jeez, Mike could be in here for all I know.
Here, Carl, give us one of the spray cans already.
Would you ever nip down to the shop and get 2 litres of milk? Or there'll be no breakfast for anyone this morning. But you can have your shower when you get back. You little fecker. I'll just have to throw this long coat over me jammies. And where's your father when I need him? I'm gone for a jog, no less. I burn more calories doing a few repairs around this house. Feck's sake, who's looking for me now? Jackie, what, another vapid dog video? Oh, that one is mental. Why do I
even... Oh, another new headstone. Let's see. Tracey Murphy, born February the 20th, 1985. Died tragically on April the 1st, 2025. Only 40. Beloved wife of Shane and devoted mother to Carol and Lara. Sadly missed by her parents, her sisters, her in-laws and all her friends. Well, she's had a good lie-in. Let's test her mettle. Tracey, rise and shine, wakey wakey, extraordinary general meeting day. Dear Lord, I don't know which is worse, rousing the living or raising the dead.
What's all that commotion? And who in God's name are you? Waking me up at dawn.
Let's say I'm your nice new line manager.
Oh, sounds lovely. You're the most angelic looking one I ever saw. I never had a nice manager, all arrogant little
Just call me Gabriel. We'll drop the archangel formality. No standing on ceremony here.
Archangel Gabriel. Oh, you won't be suffering from burnout managing dead people anyway. What exactly do you do all day? Are the dead people looking for a raise? Would you feck off with your wakey-wakey? I thought this was supposed to be the big sleep.
Your new neighbours are dying to introduce themselves.
Ha ha. I don't know. I always kept myself to myself. I was never one for fraternising with the neighbours. You wouldn't find me on a residents' association or a street party.
Well, you can sleep for all eternity if you want. That's your choice. Or you can get to know some of your lovely neighbours in our beautifully appointed graveyard. You landed in a good one. So why don't you add yourself to the eclectic mix?
Eclectic, is it? Now, I'd prefer to be alive in a beautifully appointed house, thank you very much. Now, I'm not the happy, clappy, neighbourly type. So why don't you just keep blowing your big shiny trumpet until you wake up the whole feckin' neighbourhood, including my lot up the road?
Only the dead can hear my heavenly trumpet, unless I decide otherwise. The living can get on with their puny, tinny mobile phones. Mere earthly trinkets.
Oh, We're off the grid in here, are we? Now, in fairness, though, that puny, tinny smartphone was the death of me. Jackie and her stupid dog videos. I should have muted her years ago.
Exactly. The distractions of the waking world. Now, you'll be delighted to learn you can't be seen or heard by the living.
Just as well. The state of me after that accident. I should have left a note saying I wanted to be cremated. Who can I even talk to in here?
Oh, there are plenty of interesting people round here, Tracey. A veritable time machine, this place is.
I'll come back to me in a few weeks. I need to get into me stride, get used to the new gaff. I can't just suddenly play dead.
Look, Tracey, you couldn't stand being bored when you were alive.
How do you even know that?
So, unless you want to be bored for all eternity, I think we should start with some introductions. I've handpicked the best company for a discerning woman like yourself. Capital people, one and all. Let's stop here, shall we? Read that headstone.
Felicity Maud Wentworth. Born May 1755, died March 1780. Beloved wife of Captain Horace Lancelot Wentworth. Household Cavalry Regiment. God, I got 15 years more than her.
Here she comes.
I thought I heard voices. Good morning, Gabriel.
Good morning, Felicity. And how very lovely you look this morning. There's nothing like the sight of a freshly powdered wig at sunrise.
Oh, good sir, you will turn me into a conceited strumpet.
Oh, my dear Felicity, please welcome our newest arrival, Tracey Murphy.
Oh, my dear Lady Tracey, you are most welcome to our little corner of paradise.
Jeannie Mac, you look like Marie Antoinette. How did someone as young and beautiful as you end up here?
Oh, dear Lady Tracey, my exquisite beauty was no defence against those dreadful highwaymen, too cowardly to show their hideous faces, although the mask did slip on one fiend. I saw his cruel mouth, black teeth and pock-marked visage. Once they had taken my jewels, he stabbed me right through the heart, his mouth twisted in a brutal grimace, his eyes piercing me as sharply as his dagger. Though I suppose I should thank those fiends for not letting me grow old and ugly. I shall remain young and beautiful for all eternity.
Oh, God, Felicity, that was an awful way to go. Though you do look fabulous, though. You know, I'm only sorry I didn't get the Botox myself now. It was on my list. I was going to get a loan from the credit union. I could have looked tragically young and beautifully laid out in the funeral parlour. Made everyone feel even worse. But here I am, for all eternity, looking like it.
Oh, good lady, you are a veritable belle dame. But what is this Botox you speak of? Is it manufactured by the apothecary? And how does a lady receive it? Is it administered by her physician?
Well, Botox is a medicine, or
An elixir, or a potion, you might have called it, Felicity.
yeah, that can be injected into your face to make your wrinkles disappear.
Not that Felicity was ever going to have any wrinkles. Heaven forbid, even if she had lived to be 100.
And what is this practice called injected?
A doctor gives you an injection with a syringe.
A syringe?
A fine hollow needle attached to it.
A file.
That's it, a file filled with the elixir a person needs.
Or a vain person wants.
Oh, that's a bit judgy for an archangel, Gabriel. Anyway, Felicity, it works like a pump. The physician sticks the needle into the person's forehead and pumps the Botox in to get rid of all those worry lines, or in their cheeks to make those wrinkles disappear, and it freezes your face.
Oh, that sounds simply horrid. Worse than the most gruesome medieval torture. I am glad I am not old in your century. And people are not forced to do this injected? They choose to have it?
Yes, a vanity project, like I said, before I was accused of being judgmental. And Tracey was going to borrow money to have these injections before she walked in front of an oncoming bus.
What am I even doing talking rubbish about Botox? Should that tour bus flatten me, necessitating a closed coffin.
Oh. And what, pray tell, is a bus?
Well,
Well, Felicity, just try to imagine a very long carriage not being pulled by horses, but powered to move by something like those steam engines used in the cotton mills of your day, and big enough to hold 50 people.
I did hear some learned gentlemen speak of these novel inventions with curious names, powered by steam.
On the upside, Tracey, when you are 200 years old, you'll still look 50.
50.
Sorry, I mean 40. or 30.
I'll take 39, thank you very much. Anyway, if only I'd looked left, right and left again instead of checking me WhatsApp, I wouldn't have been flattened by that tour bus. And the way to Glendalough it was. Those American sightseers got more than they bargained for. Some of them were even puking into sick bags. Wouldn't blame them. Beyond medical help I was. They just threw a few Foxford blankets over me and waited for the ambulance.
Only the very best for Tracey.
And one of them tourists was a priest. He gave me the last rites. Oh, very touching it was. It was like a scene from a Hollywood movie. I always cried myself. I'm only sorry I was too dead to utter a few parting words. You know, something to be recorded for posterity, like. Tell me children always to be kind to old people and babies and dogs.
Indeed. Now, time to move on. Plenty more lovely people to meet.
And tell us, what about this extraordinary general meeting? Am I going to that?
Yes, all in good time. But look here. Look who this grave belongs to.
Major Cecil Ewart Rightpain? That's a gas name. I wonder, is he really a Rightpain?
Shh. Look, there he is.
Waddell! Regroup! Charge!
Good morning, Major Rightpain.
Ah, Gabriel. Felicity. And who's this fine
Our
young lady?
newest resident, Tracey.
Charmed, I'm sure. You joined a fine platoon, Tracey. Congratulations. Carry on. Carry on.
And which theatre of war are you in today, Major?
Crimea, dear boy. Charge of the Light Brigade. October 25th, 1854. Into the Valley of Death rode the 600. Cannon to the right of them, cannon to the left of them, cannon in front of them, volleyed and thundered.
Ah, not again. Would you quit that racket, Rightpain?
Who's that?
Eamon, Irish freedom fighter, bus conductor, and alcoholic.
What about the Battle of Mount Street Bridge, Rightpain? Now that was a proper David and Goliath affair. Our slingshot against the might of the British Empire. We lost the battle, but we won the war.
Now, Eamon, before you start comparing battles with the Major, would you please welcome Tracey to our little community?
Ah, there you are, Tracey. Eamon O'Crowe at your service. Where are you from?
Dublin.
Fair play to you. One of our own. Never mind Major Rightpain and his charge of the Light Brigade. The Battle of Mount Street Bridge. Now there's a battle worth recounting. April 26th, 1916. Our volunteers held the bridge against your Sherwood Forester boyos for 9 hours.
Stabbing king and country in the back, more like, while our brave fellows were fighting the Great War. Bloody high treason, I'd call it.
I'd call it freeing ourselves from the fetters of our imperial prison warders.
Damned insolence. Your chaps should have pulled their weight in the Great War like so many of their fellow countrymen did, along with those fine, loyal fellows up north. Brave chaps, signing up without having to be cajoled.
Well, thanks be to God for the likes of Hannah Sheave, Skeffington and Constance Markovich, who campaigned against conscription in Ireland. Otherwise, there wouldn't have been a man left to fight our own just fight.
Well, don't forget the fighting women, Eamon.
You're right there, Tracey. That bloody Great War stuck a large spanner in the works for Irish freedom, coming just as the Home Rule Bill was about to become law. Ah, but sure, regardless of who wanted a kingdom or who wanted a republic, too many didn't come home to their wives and children, to their mothers and fathers, to their sweethearts. They spent the second half of 1916 in the Somme. Over 1 million men were wounded or killed in that hellhole, making it one of the bloodiest battles in human history. And that's a lot of history. 3,500 of the dead in the Somme were Irish men from all parts of this land.
You can't have a battle without casualties, Eamon. But remember, The Great War advanced military technology, not to mention military intelligence. And that helped us to finally finish the job in 1945.
Your so-called Great War was just an imperialist competition between greedy cousins. Sure, weren't the royal boyos in that Great War all related to each other? King George V, Kaiser Wilhelm II, and Tsar Nicholas II, they all had the same granny, Queen Victoria.
Oh, you're not serious, Eamon.
I certainly am, Tracey. Line them up, and they look like triplets. People with power who never earned it, just inherited it, like jewellery or furniture.
But royalty play an important role, Eamon. They're a unifying force for the people to look up to. When King George V visited the troops in Flanders in 1917, it was a huge boost to their morale.
Yeah, right. Just after he conveniently changed his very German surname, Saxe-Coburg-Gotha, to a very British Windsor. And what qualified him to be a unifying force?
Those royals will give you a pain in your arse. I don't understand Irish people's fascination with them.
Me neither, Tracey. British royalty is a strange preoccupation for any Irish person.
I bet they could fix all the social problems in their own country just by selling a few crowns. Look like Aegis wearing them. I don't know how they sleep at night.
Good God, woman, they don't wear their crowns in bed.
Tracey's not stupid, Rightpain. She means, how are they not kept awake with the burden of guilt? Although, some of them are so stupid that they probably do wear their crowns in bed.
Oh, Eamon, you and Major Rightpain are never going to agree on anything. So why don't you just call a truce, or you'll be fighting for all eternity? Not a pleasant prospect for any of us. You should save your energy for Armageddon, when the armies of heaven will do final battle against the armies of hell. I trust you'll both be fighting on the same side then.
And I suppose, Gabriel, you'll tell us that this Battle of Armageddon will end all wars, just like the Great War was meant to.
Ugh, men and their wars. If my husband had been with me in that coach, he might have saved me from the highwaymen. But oh no, he was off fighting in the colonies in that disaster of an American Revolution.
Another kick in the arse for the British Empire.
He survived the battles of Bunker Hill and Yorktown, while I managed to lose my life at home between Rathfarnham and the Theatre Royal at Smock Alley.
Oh, sure, Rathfarnham must have been in the wilderness back then. That would have been a very dangerous journey, Felicity.
It was, good Lady Tracey. I had been a guest of Henry Loftus and his wife in Rathfarnham Castle that evening. Unfortunately, they could not accompany me back home because they were both recovering from the fever.
Were there no guards on the coach to protect a young lady like yourself from travelling alone?
The wretches simply ran away, disappeared into the starless night, and left me to my ghastly fate. One cannot help wondering if they weren't part of the evil machinations.
What about your husband? When did he find out?
I was long buried by the time Horace got home. I had a very pretty funeral, though, in St. Werburgh's. Like a grand ball in Dublin Castle it was, except everybody was dressed in black. The Lord Lieutenant was in his pew with his wife, who was suitably snivelling and looking terribly sad.
Oh, sounds lovely. Oh, by the way, Gabriel, what were you saying earlier about an extraordinary general meeting? Am I going to it? Are we all going? And what's it about?
You'll soon find out, Tracey. We just need to gather a few more people. It's your expertise that we most earnestly require.
My expertise?
Ah, there's another 18th century neighbour who'll be joining us. Good morning, Adam.
I can't see a headstone for Adam.
Oh, that's because he's in a pauper's grave.
Oh, right.
Tracey, this is Adam Pelly. Adam, please welcome Mrs. Tracey Murphy.
Welcome, dear lady. Pleased to make your acquaintance.
Oh, charmed. I'm sure, Mr. Pelly.
Please, call me Adam. I was just admiring Felicity's lovely mausoleum again. Very fitting for her aristocratic position in society. Better a short, privileged life than a long, miserable one, eh? Sadly, there was no snivelling Lord Lieutenant's wife at my funeral, if you could even call it that. A wooden cart trundling over the ruts at first light on a November morning, driven by two rakes demented with whiskey.
Poor Adam had no one to arrange his final journey.
No arrangements were needed for my final journey. Just a quick blessing by the priest before being tossed unceremoniously into a pauper's grave, swiftly followed by a few shovelfuls of quicklime. He wasn't very happy to be there at that hour. Did the bare minimum to help me on my way to paradise. My poor wife wasn't even taken back to town by the drunken rakes or the priest. They'd have wanted whiskey money. She didn't even have the price of a loaf of bread for her children.
Jesus, Adam, that's desperate altogether.
It's a miracle I ended up in the right grave at all. Ah, if I'd only landed in yours, Felicity, I'd have kept it nice and warm for you.
Oh, Adam, you are a naughty rapscallion. What would your wife say?
But I have plenty of bedfellows in the pauper's grave. The finest of ladies and gentlemen, guilty of nothing more than poverty. Ah, it was a cruel existence for those whose only few pence went on a crust of bread to get them through another day of misery.
Ah, no. Here it comes again. Adam's litany of woes.
Keep it down, Willis. Let a man talk. The way it was, Tracey, if the likes of us, with no schooling to improve our prospects, was unfortunate enough to be caught robbing a loaf to feed our family, we'd get a nice stay in Newgate prison before being transported to Tasmania or Barbados.
True. You didn't have to do much in them days to find yourself in a stinking dungeon or on a convict ship.
And of course, the overfed judges who handed down those sentences would be going home to dinners of oysters, mutton and veal, swallowed down with a fine claret, while our misfortunate children never even tasted meat. We were starved with the hunger from lack of victuals, while they were plagued with the gout from too much of the best of victuals.
Poppycock and bonkum. Adam chose poverty, Tracey, when he could have earned the king's shilling to feed his wife and children. A case of work shyness, if you ask me.
Work shyness, my arse. You paint the correct picture, Adam. Our colonial masters kept us cowed, uneducated and skint. They reduced us to emptying their chamber pots, working the fields they stole from us, or fighting their dirty wars in other lands they felt entitled to. The only things left for us to do without being fined, imprisoned or transported was breathing and breeding.
Nonsense. You could have risen through the ranks, Adam. Got to sergeant, maybe.
I doubt it.
Or fought in America with my dear, brave Horace.
Or he could have spent days dying in agony from gangrene after having his leg blown off by a French cannon in the 7 Years' War.
What did happen to you, Adam?
Well, my dear Tracey, I avoided transportation and death in battle by being murdered on a dark street in Dublin. With casual labouring being so scarce, it was only going to be a matter of time before I'd have been caught stealing bread anyway.
God, imagine having to sink that low just for a loaf of bread.
You sank as low as you had to just to survive. Anyway, there I was, striding down Cutthroat Lane in the neighbourhood of Smock Alley with my purse full of coins from a few days labouring. Choking with the brick dust I was from working on the Blue Coat Hospital as a hod carrier for those exalted bricklayers. But before I got a chance to wet my whistle with a mug of ale, I was breathing my last with a knife stuck in my back. Better than cutting my throat, I suppose. Even though it happened on Cutthroat Lane.
Very thoughtful of them. Stabbing you in the back instead of severing your windpipe.
You were stabbed in the heart, Felicity, and I was stabbed in the back. Both making our way home from Smock Alley. We were meant to be together for eternity.
Oh, Adam, you are a cheeky scallywag.
Are you sure you weren't one of those sack-em-up men? Hanging around Bully's Acre after dark, terrorising the living and the dead. Body snatching would leave you with plenty of loose change to wet your whistle. Very lucrative it was. Sure, no lukewarm body was safe in a new grave. And a casual labourer wouldn't be supping ale if he had children to feed, would he?
I was no body snatcher. No point in me hanging around Bully's Acre. I wouldn't have stood a chance with all them soldiers next door in the Royal Hospital. I wasn't high up with the lowlifes either, if you know what I mean. Those with contacts in the medical schools. If I was, maybe I would have tried me hand at being one of those sack-em-up men, as you so poetically put it. Then at least if I was caught, I'd have had a good Trinity College anatomy teacher to pay my fine and look after the wife and children while I was in prison.
You see, Eamon, wait for all the facts before jumping to conclusions.
I was just a simple, casual labourer, trying to keep my family alive. And I didn't even get a sup of ale that night to help me on me way. Parched I was. A good job I didn't end up in the queue for his nibs below stairs, where I'd have to contend with hellfire and a terrible thirst. But I bet those reprobates who murdered me saluted their good fortune in the Bear Tavern down on Crane Lane, drinking the hard-earned money my wife and children would never see.
At least you didn't end up on the dissection table.
I hope they did, though. Those beastly sack-em-up men, after their dead bodies were taken from the gallows. And I hope those medical students weren't looking for hearts.
Good morning, Gabriel.
Ah, Becky, come and meet Tracey.
Who's that?
Becky Wright, another 18th century lady. Oh. Becky, this is Tracey.
Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to make your acquaintance, Miss Tracey.
Becky here has quite a tale to tell. She was sentenced to picking sugarcane in the West Indies as an indentured servant.
An indentured servant?
Yes, and nothing could be worse than what I endured there for 3 years.
Tell Tracey how a fair maiden like yourself ended up in the West Indies.
Well, I was a rector's daughter, a respectable young lady of modest wealth, but I ended up in Barbados because I supported our brave rebels of 1798.
Fair play to you, Becky. Those brave boyos were massacred, but they lit the spark for 1916, inspired us, gave us courage.
Traitors to the last man. And that Theobald Wolf Tone was the worst of all. Sneaking around Paris and Philadelphia, looking for military aid from the enemy. The very type of people, Felicity, who would have done for your husband in the American War, if they had got their hands on him.
Oh, my poor Horace.
Wolf Tone was no traitor, Major. He wanted to bring Catholic, Protestant and Dissenter together. Surely you cannot disapprove of that. He was the bravest of the brave because he knew he couldn't win. His ending was so tragic, missing his appointment with the hangman's noose by cutting his own throat. Poor Theo. It took him 7 days to die.
Sweet divine.
Whereas poor Roger Casement kept his appointment with the hangman's noose in 1916. They should have shot him like Pierce and the others, not hanged him like a felon or a murderer. That picture of him being taken from the Old Bailey to Pentonville prison, looking so calm and proud and the gallows waiting for him, would move a statue to tears.
Another traitor. And a knight of the realm to boot.
Couldn't take one of your own sirs turning on you. And of course, they did the same with young Kevin Barry. Thought they'd subdue the people by hanging an 18-year-old medical student. But they did the very opposite. He met his end with the dignity and bravery of Casement.
God. Now, my eldest son, Carl, is 17 and he's a big old baby, moaning about phone credit and the leaving cert. I certainly wouldn't like to see him fighting in anyone's war. But what happened to you, Becky?
My long death started the day those redcoats came to my home and brutally dragged me to a dark, cold prison cell. I languished there for 5 months before being brought before a judge who condemned me to serve 3 years in Barbados.
Another well-fed judge, I'll bet, with a claret nose and a gouty leg on him.
Lucky those redcoats didn't subject you to a half-hanging like they did poor Anne Devlin for supporting Robert Emmet. Those redcoats were no better than their future brothers in arms, the Black and Tans. I'm glad to report that I sent a few of those blackguards to the hereafter. And thankfully, none of them ended up in our graveyard.
Anne Devlin was so brave. I learned on my return to Dublin how the yeomanry had come to Emmet's house in Rathfarnham and tried to torture poor Miss Devlin into divulging his whereabouts. I would so like to have made the acquaintance of that heroic lady, but it was not to be.
But, my dearest Becky, you must tell Tracey about the ordeals you endured, even after your 3 years in Barbados.
How did you get back to Ireland?
I obtained free passage on a merchant ship carrying sugarcane and rum back to Dublin in exchange for galley duty and for helping the ship's surgeon. The victuals were better than I'd ever had in Barbados, even though they were sometimes rotten and infested with weevils and maggots and, rat droppings.
Holy Jesus.
We had supplies of salt beef and pork, cheese and fish, but not enough to fully restore my health. After 3 years of hard labour under a blazing sun, the damage was done.
What kind of work did you do with the ship's surgeon?
Getting men insensibly drunk and holding them down while their legs and arms were being amputated.
Oh, God.
Well, most of them died anyway. Lord help them. It might have been more humane to have thrown them overboard in their state of intoxication.
If only I could have wet my whistle before my final moments.
And there was scurvy on board, which miraculously I avoided. Once a sailor's hair and teeth started falling out, you knew it could only end with death from a raging fever. But we did our best, and despite all the hardship, assisting the surgeon was better than being an indentured servant. Though I sometimes think maybe it would have been better if I had caught scurvy and avoided the horrors awaiting for me back in Ireland.
You mean things got even worse?
After my arrest in Dublin, my parents had been ostracised from polite society. In their elderly and frail condition, they could not withstand for long the knowledge of the horror that had been visited upon their only child. Just days before leaving the West Indies, I learned of their deaths in a letter from my uncle. He also informed me that he had inherited my father's property and that I would not be welcome in my former home, since my return would bring shame on his family in Clontarf. He was a rector there and a pillar of the community.
Jesus. Like, imagine telling you that you lost your parents and disinheriting you in the same letter. And him probably up in the pulpit the next Sunday preaching about love and charity.
That letter must have left you inconsolable, Becky. How did you not die of a broken heart?
I was completely destitute. All I had was a reference from the ship's surgeon.
Not the captain.
I'm afraid not. He considered me no more than a common criminal. He even forbade the ship's surgeon to furnish me with a reference. The good surgeon did that kind act secretly.
I'd have made that captain and that sanctimonious uncle walk the plank.
So what did you do?
I got a position in Dublin as a scullery maid, the lowest of the low, in a house on Henrietta Street. I won't name the family. Not only was I scrubbing floors for the gentry, I was also required to scrub floors in the servants' quarters.
Oh, your poor hands, Becky.
It was so humiliating. With my education and background, I could have been a governess or a lady's companion. The other servants hated me for my good breeding and made my life as difficult as possible, giving me the filthiest and most demeaning jobs, and sneering while they watched me do them. They wouldn't let me anywhere near the master of the house in case he detected my breeding and promoted me to a position more suitable for a lady.
Oh, the injustice, the horror!
My broken body could not endure for long the hard physical labour of carrying coal and hauling buckets of water and scrubbing fenders and stone floors. My wits deserted me, and I was thrown on the mercy of the House of Industry on Channel Row to end my days as a lunatic in chains.
God love you. And to think I used to moan if I came down in the morning and I had to empty the dishwasher.
Empty the dishwasher? Well, it's not a person then.
A machine, Becky. A big box you fill with dishes, pots and pans. You add special soap in a little drawer, close the drawer, press the magic button and listen to the lovely music of everything being washed better than you'd ever do by hand.
Oh, such a miraculous machine might have saved my life.
God almighty, Becky. You paid a heavy price.
I won't persecute you by telling you about washing machines.
You've already gone too far, Tracey.
Washing machines?
You may as well tell her.
Another magic box, Becky. You fill it with clothes and more special soap. Then you press a button, go for a lovely walk, while all the clothes swirl around in warm, sudsy water, getting clean with no effort on your part, saving your poor hands from all that scrubbing.
I feel so guilty. I never gave a moment's thought to Biddy, our scullery maid. Would she have to do all that?
Of course she would, Felicity. I lasted only 2 weeks in that hellish House of Industry before being tossed into the pauper's grave. My final hours were unspeakable. I was glad to join my new neighbours in that grave, many of whom had stories even worse than mine. Like my dear companion over there, Norah. Norah, come and meet Tracey. Don't be shy, but she'd like to hear your story.
Would you, really? I would. My only crime was being a victim of the Great Famine. Little did I think I'd end up in a workhouse, which wasn't much better than Becky's house of industry.
House of death, more like.
Was there no alternative, Norah?
It was the workhouse or die in the ditch, Tracey. We thought that if we kept moving, we would at least feel alive. And we eventually made our way from Galway to the South Dublin workhouse. Me and Seamus would happily have died in the ditch, but we had to think of the children. We hoped that they might survive. But once you walked through those gates, husbands were separated from wives, and children were separated from parents.
And all because the one food left to landless tenants, that substandard lumper potato, rotted in the ground. Couldn't withstand the blight, just like poor Norah couldn't fight the famine fever. And to think that the potato plots were called lazy beds by the well-fed who hardly even knew there was a famine.
Lazy beds were the only way we could grow enough potatoes in the small plots those grabbing landlords left us with. How else would we eat? God knows, if we'd had the space to plant and the money for tools, we'd have grown a lot more than potatoes.
You weren't lazy, Norah. You were a lot more resourceful than those half-witted landlords. That inferior lumper was only fit for animals.
God, Norah. When I think of all the food I wasted, loaves of bread gone mouldy, bowls of fruit gone rotten, I never even thought of it as food, just as rubbish to be thrown out.
The only food left for us to eat was sent to England. We watched helplessly as grain, cattle and even eggs were loaded onto ships. Not that we'd have ever tasted them, even in the best of times. When things got really bad in Black 47, the workhouse was overcrowded, and with the spread of famine fever, dysentery, typhus, it was hard to tell the living from the dead. I don't even know when the children or Seamus died, or what they died of. All I know is they probably ended up in a pauper's grave somewhere, just like me.
And of course, many of those who thought they might escape the famine by emigrating to America ended up on death-trap coffin ships chartered by unscrupulous agents who charged exorbitant fees for the pleasure cruise.
Sure, the same thing is still happening today. It's on the news all the time. All those poor people from Africa and the Middle East being robbed blind by human traffickers. So they're taking a chance on overcrowded, unseaworthy boats to escape war-torn hellholes. And so many of them drowning in the Mediterranean for their trouble. No one would put themselves through that unless they absolutely had to. It just shows you how desperate they are. Oh, it'd put you off going on a sun holiday to Greece or Spain. You wouldn't feel right swanning around in your shorts and your sunglasses, surrounded by traumatised refugees, would you?
You're not wrong, Tracey. And those unfortunate souls fleeing the great famine on the coffin ships had nothing left to lose either. They had two choices. Stay at home and risk dying of typhoid in a workhouse, or take the coffin ship and risk ending up in Davy Jones' locker.
A catastrophic event in Irish history, to be sure. But ladies and gentlemen, we really need to move on and introduce Tracey to Queenie before we all proceed to our important general meeting. Last introduction, I promise, Tracey. There's her headstone, see?
Queenie Leach, born July 1890, died November 1907. Oh my God, she was only 17, same age as Carl. Oh, only a kid.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning, Queenie. Queenie, this is Tracey.
Oh, I'm pleased to know you, Tracey.
You're so young. How did you end up here?
It was like this, Tracey. By the time I was born, the hoity-toities were long gone from big houses the likes of Becky's and Henrietta Street.
You see, townhouses became tenement houses.
Let Queenie tell her story.
My family's home was one room in a Georgian townhouse on Gardner Street. A house that was once occupied by a single family ended up housing 10 families. And each family had only one room to cook, eat, sleep and wash in. Well, to be born in and to die in.
And with no facilities to do any of those things.
Amen.
There were over 100 of us in that house. When I was a child, I used to try and imagine how just one family used all those rooms. My family lived in what would have been the children's playroom. I used to wonder what games those rich children played and what toys they had. We had no toys. We hardly had any furniture. We only saw things like that in Arnott's windows on Henry Street before we were chased away by the doorman for loitering. You'd think they owned the shop. We were only looking.
And it was unscrupulous Irish Catholic agents who overcrowded those squatted houses and charged rent for rooms with no running water and just one outdoor toilet for the whole house.
I can tell you about the playroom, Queenie. When I was a child, I had a wonderful army of toy soldiers in the playroom, and I used to fight battles with them. Trafalgar, Waterloo, Agincourt. Cry God for Harry, England, and St. George. I remember dear old Nanny tripping over my soldiers, all lined up, spick and span, and ready to do their duty.
Ready to stick their bayonets where they weren't welcome or needed.
My greatest joy, when I wasn't recreating battles, was giving those toy soldiers a fresh coat of paint. My army was the smartest in the British Empire.
It's a pity all wars were nothing more than a game of toy soldiers.
Tell us more about the tenement, Queenie.
Well, our next-door neighbours lived in what would have been the schoolroom.
Ah, I remember my schoolroom well. The map on the wall filled me with pride and ambition. My dear old governess, Miss Allingham, would show me every time a new territory was won by our chaps and allow me to colour it pink before standing to attention and singing God Save the King. The more that colour spread across the globe, the more I wanted to join in the fray. Help make our empire the biggest and best in the world.
Did you ever fight in a real war?
Of course I did. I'm proud to say I played my part at Tobruk and El Alamein, but don't like to talk too much about it. The main goal we had was to rid the world of Herr Hitler and his breed.
I'll be with you there, Rightpain.
It was a really good day when our chaps outwitted Rommel and took control of Tobruk. But it was the second battle of El Alamein that sent the Desert Fox packing once and for all, thanks to the military guile of General Montgomery. Monty knew a thing or two about leadership and military tactics.
I wish I could have been in your schoolroom, Major Rightpain. The school I was sent to was run by cruel nuns. I was terrified of them. They were more concerned about beating the catechism into us than teaching us the 3 R's. Well, they knew we had no future on earth, so I suppose they were determined to save our souls for heaven. We escaped as soon as we could, not able to read, write, nor do arithmetic, but well able to say our prayers, for all the good that did us.
Sure weren't the Christian brothers as bad? Terrorised we were.
What chance had I, a frail young girl, of withstanding the hardships of living in the tenements? Even as a child, I could not imagine myself surviving beyond 40. I was living in a death trap. Typhoid from unclean water and typhus from straw bedding. But the odd scrap of meat you managed to buy was often rotten, sold by money-grabbing so-called butchers, and many of the hucksters adulterated the bread with sand and watered down the milk. I was never going to be healthy enough to fight off even the mildest disease. My clothes and shoes were too thin to keep me warm and dry. All my short life, I longed for sturdy boots.
And to think we'd be buying clothes every other week in Duns and Pennies for a few euros and throwing them out as quick just because we got fed up with them. Oh, I wish you could have had them, Queenie. I could have dressed all 10 families in your tenement.
Those tenements were no different to the overcrowded workhouse. The lice feasted on us, spreading typhus as they hopped from one body to another. And of course there was smallpox, with people coughing and sneezing all over each other. Nowhere was safe in the workhouse.
Nowhere was safe in the house of industry.
But at least, Queenie dear, like Becky and me, you will be young and beautiful forever.
You will, Queenie.
We'll just go way out of that. I looked old before my time. The young ladies I saw stepping out of carriages on Sackville Street now, they were beautiful. Young ladies of Felicity's and Becky's class in Breedon.
3 years of burning sun stole my beauty, I'm afraid. I returned to Ireland looking 20 years older. No Byron or Gainsborough would ever celebrate my beauty.
But come here to me, Gabriel. You're looking very sprightly for someone who's thousands of years old.
That is because Gabriel is divine, Tracey.
Sure, I know that. Would you look at the mane of hair on him? And those eyes.
Now steady now.
What Felicity means, Tracey, is that Gabriel possesses divinity, which makes him a deity.
Which means that he can do all kinds of tricks and japes the rest of us can't do.
Only at the appropriate time and for the right reasons. I'm not a wizard. But Eamon, if you could just tell Tracey how you met your maker, you'll all be accounted for and we can get on with our general meeting. But make it brief. Time is moving on.
Right. Well, I need to go back a bit before I go forward. I was on the right side in the War of Independence and the wrong side in the Civil War, that being the anti-treaty side. 1 minute Collins was our hero, next minute he was our enemy. That Civil War was an abomination, with families fighting families and former comrades in arms killing each other. All I lost besides my pride was the index finger on my shooting hand. I was still good, though, for tossing grenades.
So, what did you do after the Civil War?
I got a job as a conductor with the Dublin United Tramway Company in 1924, dispensing tickets between Rathfarnham and Drumcondra. I stayed on that route until the tram was replaced by bus in 1939, and I continued working on the number 16 bus for another 5 years. Finally, they took pity on an old warrior and gave me a desk job in Summerhill Garage. And that was the undoing of me.
What? Did you accidentally fall on a sharp pencil?
Easily could have, with the amount of gargle in me. I spent too much time in my holy trinity of pubs. Cleary's on Eamon Street, Malloy's on Talbot Street, and Ryan's on Starr Street, all within shouting distance of Summerhill. One evening, I was staggering down O'Connell Street to get the number 16 bus outside Cleary's. The effort of putting me arm out to stop the bus upset me balance, and I landed under the wheels, like yourself, Tracey. So there I was, flattened by the very bus I had worked on. Wasn't all bad, though. Herself got a grand pension from the bus company.
Well, Tracey, that's everyone accounted for. 2 murdered.
A knife in the heart.
And a knife in the back. Brought us together, though, Felicity. No class distinction in death.
Dear Adam, this graveyard would be so dull without you.
2 struck by buses.
That's what I got for being addicted to social media.
And me for being addicted to the gargle.
3 from disease and poverty.
Me.
Me.
And me.
And 1 died peacefully in his own bed, surrounded by his loving family.
My good luck.
A suitable ending for anyone who fought Hitler's army. I can't take that away from you, Rightpain.
What is life but an accident of birth? And we all face up to the cards we are dealt. I escaped with just a bullet wound in the right knee. It didn't kill me. I lived to a good age with a jaunty limp. But it got more and more arthritic as I got older. I had to resort to the old Zimmer frame in the nursing home and the wheelchair on Armistice Day. I died peacefully in my bed. Don't know if I deserved that.
All right, everybody. Everybody listen up. It's 8 o'clock. Let the extraordinary general meeting begin.
At long last.
Subject to be discussed, the nightly attacks on defenseless graves by hooded youths. We must put our heads together today and agree on a tactic to defeat these nocturnal hoodlums and put a stop to the desecration.
So that's what the meeting's about? Now, I saw signs up a few weeks ago about the cemetery being closed due to antisocial behaviour. Now, they must be getting in over the walls. Well, I certainly wouldn't like to see my Carl consorting with those gurriers and persecuting yous after dark. Now, if I heard he was desecrating graves, I'd have his guts for garters.
So, Tracey, we need your expertise as a 21st century parent. Perhaps you could start by explaining to us why, in 2025, these hoodlums deface consecrated graves for entertainment.
Why? Well, probably because a lot of them are spoilt and self-entitled little brats who get bored too easily. That's why. They want to be entertained and get quick thrills. And young fellas are looking at too much of those toxic male influencers on their stupid smartphones.
Toxic males?
Influencers.
Smartphones.
Look, I'll explain all that another day. They think those toxic males are great role models.
Am I to understand that young men are being encouraged to misbehave with impunity?
That's right, Gabriel. Now, but we're not talking about all young men.
These nocturnal hoodlums are disrupting our equilibrium.
Ruining our beauty sleep. I don't know for how much longer I can endure it.
Maybe our 2 war veterans could retrieve their military hats and devise an offensive against these unwelcome nightly visitors.
Face the blackguards, I say.
Yeah, scared a bit Jesus out and with a bit of guerrilla warfare.
We must deal with them firmly, but compassionately.
Not too nice, Becky. They need a short, sharp shock, otherwise known as a swift kick up the arse.
This is a civilized platoon. You must put your best sides out for this mission.
I won't have to do much to scare them.
Me neither. Just one look at us is enough. And strangely, I never felt more alive.
I'm ready to play my part, just like I did for poor Wolf Tone.
A dagger protruding from my heart should make them turn and run.
And then they'll see another dagger protruding from my back. We make a great couple, Felicity.
Oh, Adam.
So, Rightpain, what do you say to a flying column?
I think a united frontal assault would be more effective in driving them out. I suggest we use the flying wedge, move forward in a V shape. We will cut quite a dash.
Oh, it's so exciting.
All right then, we'll give it a go. Although I'd love just one more go at a flying column.
Oh, my Carl would love this. It's better than any of his stupid computer games.
Right then. It's dark enough. Let us assume the V formation.
Shh! Look who's just arrived. Why do they always wear those strange hoods like monks?
It's far from holy monks, those little gurriers are. They're called hoodies. Carl wears them all the time. They're as fashionable today as tricorn hats were in your youth. The little feckers wear their hoods up to scare people. They won't have much fun defacing gravestones this evening.
Oh, very brave indeed. Persecuting the dead and upsetting their poor families.
Attacking people who can't fight back. Or so they think.
Not the kind of chaps you'd want at Tobruk.
I think it's high time we taught these hoodies a sobering lesson. Now, don't be shy with your battle cries, but hold off until we're almost upon them. Come on.
Jesus, don't believe it. One of those little feckers is my Carl. My own flesh and blood defacing the graveyard and buried in. And if you saw him at the funeral only a few weeks ago, blubbering and slobbering, too upset to even read a prayer to the faithful. Well, he got over that quick enough. Oh, looks very happy now. Swigging back cans of beer and spray painting obscenities all over people's headstones. I bought him that hoodie in Lanzarote. I'll give him a night to remember.
Tracey, listen to Gabriel now. Let's stick with our plan. Carl will learn his lesson well enough not to be led astray by wasters and tossers.
All right. Assume positions. Everybody ready?
Yes.
Excuse me, can we assist you in any way?
Do you require horses for your journey?
Are you looking for an inn for the night?
Carl Murphy, I personally brain you if you damage one of those gravestones.
It's me, Ma. I'm sorry, Ma. They made me. I didn't want to.
You better find yourself some new friends, Carl Murphy.
You don't look very well, love. You must have the smallpox.
Flee before you're stabbed in the heart by a highway robber.
Or stabbed in the back by reprobate thieves.
Run home before you're dragged to a prison cell.
Or a workhouse.
Or a madhouse. Run!
A few years in the army would make men of you.
Carl Murphy, I'll haunt the house if you don't find yourself some new friends. And get at least 400 points in the leaving cert. You won't be posting this on TikTok.
Oh, look at them retreat in fear. No one will believe them and they'll never come back.
Until their dying day.
Sure, they think they're gonna live forever.
Well, that was mighty. I can't wait to put manners on the next gang of hoodies.
Well, I'll be watching, Carl. He better clean up his act.
Don't you worry, Tracey. He'll grow into a fine young man and make you very proud. And sure, hasn't he got you for a guardian angel now?
Well done, everybody. Another successful military campaign.
You know, I think I'm gonna like this neighbourhood. Give us the victory tune there, Gabriel.
Platoon was written and produced by Berni Dwan and directed by Bairbre Ní Chaoimh. The cast of actors in order of appearance were Alexandru Cucura as Carl, Hilda Faye as Tracey, Mark O'Regan as Angel Gabriel, Hannah Brady as Felicity, Michael James Ford as Major Rightpain, Daniel Monaghan as Eamon, Ben Waddell as Adam, Ashleigh Dorrell as Becky, Noni Stapleton as Norah, and Julie Crowe as Queenie. Some wonderful TY students from Marino College, Patrick Gonchescu, Jack Dolan, and Zimon Kazarek played Jake, Max and Billy, while Jamie Tolan and Moya O'Brien helped with the outdoor recording. The choral singing of Mad World was performed by the Rathoth Singers, conducted by Rebecca Rogers. The bugle calls were performed by bandswoman Grace Tate from the Army No. 1 Band. Audio production for Dead Platoon was managed by Declan McGlade. The magnificent promotional artwork you saw across social media was created by early career artist Evan McLaughlin. Dead Platoon was made with the support of Coimisiún na Meán's Sound and Vision Scheme through the television licence fee.
Wow.